This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
Trump meeting President Aoun, by the way, who's the only Christian leader in the Middle East.
As part of our storm preparation, our operations teams have already begun lowering the canal.
It was like a bulldozer took every tree down in the forest.
It is so fulfilling to be able to help people in the community, especially being basically in my backyard.
Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. Show of force. President Trump met face-to-face with the president of Lebanon today as he decides whether to launch a full-scale war with Iran.
Mr. President, it's an honor having you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
I've been looking forward to this visit for a long time.
The president promising our Middle Eastern ally, Lebanon President Joseph Aoun, full support.
Trump meeting President Aoun, by the way, who's the only Christian leader in the Middle East right now, or of the country, is a significant conversation.
Darren Gobb is a retired Army aviator and told Fox News this meeting could alter the face of terror in the Middle East.
There's a potential here for a significant change in the Middle East in general.
Trump warned Iran it will pay a heavy price for the killings of 3 American service members last weekend in drone strikes. Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen are threatening a maritime block in another strait. ABC's Martha Raddatz is stationed in Oman.
With traffic in the Strait of Hormuz already slowing to a crawl, cutting off the Red Sea could cause oil prices to spike even further, and gas prices now more than $4 a gallon as well. This as overnight, the U.S. launching the 10th straight night of strikes on Iran, while Iran launches strikes far beyond its border.
Secretary of War Pete Hegseth is testifying before the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee at this hour. He's joined by Joint Chiefs Chair General Dan Kane. The hearing concerns President Trump's supplemental funding package to cover the cost of the war in Iran. Protecting American farmers. President Trump put the smackdown on Canada again, ordering new 50% tariffs on some products for what he says is discriminatory treatment of U.S. exports of cars, alcohol, and dairy. ABC's Karen Wall.
To impose these tariffs in the wake of a Supreme Court decision against him earlier this year, President Trump is citing a never-before-used provision of a 1930 trade law, which could also face legal challenges.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford responding.
I got to remind President Trump that 33% of the lumber, and we have better quality lumber here in Canada, comes from Canada to build their homes.
Canada's Prime Minister says he will intensify trade talks. In Greece, 2 Greek-American tourists at the Acropolis in Athens are recovering after they were injured in a stabbing attack. ABC's James Longman.
This happened right outside the Acropolis Museum. It's an area crowded with early morning tour groups. This is Greece's top tourist attraction, and it was open early this morning because of the heat wave. Police say the suspect had been out in the street brandishing a knife, and he is now in custody. He's described as a 60-year-old man with severe psychological problems.
Here comes Bertha. It is a tropical storm, not a hurricane, but that doesn't mean Bertha isn't dangerous to residents along the Gulf Coast. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and even the Carolinas in the danger zone this week. The storm, 24 hours from landfall, currently sitting 100 miles south of the Florida Panhandle, traveling northwest. New Orleans official Randy Heyman is concerned about potential flooding.
As part of our storm preparation, our operations teams have already begun lowering the canal and cleaning catch basins throughout the system.
The body of the late Senator Lindsey Graham will be brought to the U.S. Capitol Rotunda for a private service Tuesday next week. That will be followed by a funeral service at Washington National Cathedral. Then on Wednesday, July 29th, Graham's remains will travel to the South Carolina State House, and a procession will be held as he's taken to First Baptist Church of Columbia. He passed away suddenly last week. A federal judge has signed off on what may be the largest class action settlement in the history of U.S. copyright law.
As part of the settlement, Anthropic will pay $1.5 billion to authors and book publishers who sued over copyright infringement. A group of authors accused Anthropic of misusing their books to train its AI chatbot, Claude. The payments authorized by Monday's final court approval in San Francisco will come in $3,000 installments sent to the owners of 500,000 different published works. I'm Rory O'Neill.
And archaeologists excavating Jerusalem's City of David have unearthed 2,600-year-old charred wooden beams from Solomon's Temple, preserved under the rubble since the Babylonian destruction of the city in 586 BC. Researchers say the timbers contain enough growth rings to date the destruction of that city within a decade, confirming the story in the Bible. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, federal legalization of marijuana could be in the works. Flood watches popping up across New York and Pennsylvania today, and 100 missionaries are on the ground in the Keystone State doing work. We'll tell you where after weather with Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Thunderstorms, some strong result of an approaching cold front. But as that cold front crosses the area tonight, some nice weather is ultimately going to follow. Into the evening hours, thunderstorms and showers in the area. Some can be strong still. Overnight, it's mostly cloudy with low temps near 60. For tomorrow, cooler, breezy, less humid, clouds part for some sun, but there could still be a brief shower in spots. High temps in the 70s. Thursday's a beauty, bright and sunny with high temperatures in the 70s.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. 15,000 people are in the dark at this hour in the Keystone State, primarily in Warren and Allegheny counties, and 6,000 in New York, most in Broome County after another day of wild weather. There are flash flood watches in play in western Pennsylvania, in Butler and Indiana counties, and a flash flood warning until 7 p.m. in Erie and Niagara counties. All this after a tornado was on the ground for 15 miles in the southern tier Saturday. Cleanup is still underway after a microburst from that storm did damage in the town of Hancock.
This is the worst that Hancock has been hit wind-wise in anybody's memory. It was like a bulldozer took every tree down in the forest and put it across Pizzetti Road.
This woman told WBNG her town looked like a disaster film.
Best I can describe it is just truly something out of a movie. The photos just aren't doing it justice. Like the aftermath immediately after it happened on Saturday, it was surreal.
New York has charted 9 tornadoes so far this year. Pennsylvania school recess rules are shifting. We get details from Family Life's Jeremy Miller.
That's right. A new House bill included in the state budget requires public schools to provide at least 30 minutes of daily recess for students in kindergarten through 5th grade. It comes after parents began pushing last year to expand recess to older elementary students, saying the benefits do not end as those students age. Districts across the Commonwealth are getting ready to meet the new requirement, and some are further expanding recess to include 6th graders. Jeremy Miller, Family Life News.
U.S. Senator John Fetterman has joined 16 Senate Democrats to reintroduce federal marijuana legalization. He says the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act would decriminalize and deschedule cannabis on the federal level. It would also allow states to tax and regulate it and would permit resentencing and expungement of criminal records for some cannabis offenses. 24 states have legalized recreational cannabis, and 40 states, including Pennsylvania and New York, allow medical marijuana. Pro-family groups say drugged driving is just as dangerous as drunk driving and warn cannabis is a gateway drug that leads to other addictive substances. The Buffalo Sabres are seeing the best season ticket sales since the pandemic. Team officials say sales have topped 13,200, including more than 4,500 new ticket packages. Individual tickets go on sale tomorrow. Officials credit the team's playoff run this past season with the resurgence in sales. And a group of missionaries are making a difference in northeastern Pennsylvania this week. More than 100 youth and adult volunteers with the Army worked in the Luzerne County borough of Sugar Notch, tackling projects such as wheelchair ramps, siding and porch repair, and landscaping. Teen volunteer Paige Banks tells WBRE.
It is so fulfilling to be able to help people in the community, especially being basically in my backyard helping people. I love just being able to communicate and talk to people and see, their stories, their backgrounds.
The UM in UM Army stands for United in Mission. Founded in 1979, it has missions in several states, including New York and Pennsylvania. On deck next, a deep dive into human trafficking in the Southern Tier and the ministry working on the front lines to prevent it. Let's listen in. This is Mission Pulse. We spotlight ministries making a difference where you live, across the country, and around the world. This week, we sit down with the Potter's Hands Foundation in Corning, New York. With me, founder and executive director, Deb Keener. What is the Potter's Hands Foundation?
So the Potter's Hands Foundation is a faith-based nonprofit organization based in the Southern Tier of New York dedicated to helping women who have survived sex trafficking and sexual exploitation rebuild their lives.
Tell me what would happen the first day, the first week or month that they're in your program.
When they first come to us, we ask them to commit to a year so that they have time to really begin their healing journey. And the first 30 days is kind of a blackout period where they're not allowed to really be in touch with anyone because we want to make sure the people they are reaching out to are safe for them to be in communication with. But it is obviously much more than a bed and a place to sleep. It's a long-term process that addresses their physical, emotional, psychological, spiritual needs. So in addition to the safe and secure housing, we do individualized case management, trauma-informed care, medical care, most of the time actually, mental health services, substance abuse, recovery, life skills education.
Look out the window and Corning, New York looks like a pretty normal place, and yet this is happening right outside the door.
Yeah, it happens everywhere. When I'm speaking out in the community, I often ask how many of you have ever seen anything on the news about heroin or meth. If you have drugs in your community, you most certainly have sex trafficking in your community because drug dealers know that they can make more money off of selling humans than they can the drugs. And they can sell you over and over and over again.
Do you have success getting these women out of the system, or do you find that many of them choose to go back into it?
We actually have a very high success rate. Many years, it's 75 to 80% graduate rate.
Why do you do this? It is a lot to rescue women out of places that are this dark. Tell me a story that keeps you going.
I do this because of women like Emily, whose name has obviously been changed for the purpose of this interview. But Emily came to the Potter's Hands Foundation carrying the weight of years of trauma, addiction, and sexual exploitation. Like many of our survivors, she arrived feeling broken and uncertain that a different life was possible. But throughout her journey, she faced tremendous obstacles, including a battle with cancer. She actually completed our program and then shortly after graduating discovered that she had 2 types of cancer. And so we lost touch with her for a few months because she relapsed. And it was heartbreaking because she had done so well. We continued to try to reach out to her, and eventually she reconnected with us after a night where she overdosed and was brought back to life and reached out and said, I need to go to detox. So we took her to a detox place, and about a week later, she came back to our program where we walked her through her chemo and radiation treatments and all the different things that she had to do to stay alive, and then continued to work on the trauma from everything that she'd experienced previously in her life. And one of the cool things is that Emily had an opportunity to go on a missions trip to Ecuador with the local church, and it truly was life-changing for her. She is just an amazing human being. Watching her today and seeing how strong she is, you can literally see the joy exude from her, and she just loves Jesus so much. It's really a beautiful, incredible thing to witness, and that's why we do what we do.
You can hear the entire interview with Deb Keener of the Potter's Hands Foundation online under Mission Pulse at Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and at FamilyLife.org. Also, check out their website at thepottershandsfoundation.org.
Competence is a gift, but pride can turn it into danger. Hi, I'm Rob West with today's Faith and Finance Minute. In Ezekiel 28, God speaks to the ruler of Tyre, a wealthy trading power. The Lord acknowledges his skill, saying, "By your wisdom and your understanding, you have made wealth for yourself. And again, by your great wisdom in your trade, you have increased your wealth." But success had done something dangerous to his heart. God says, "Your heart has become proud in your wealth." God did not condemn his competence. He confronted his pride. The problem wasn't skill, profit, or business success. The problem was allowing those gifts to produce arrogance and self-reliance. So pursue excellence, work diligently, grow in skill, but remember who gives you the very ability to build wealth. Manage your finances wisely with the easy-to-use FaithFi app. Download FaithFi, Faith and Finance from your app store, or learn more at faithfi.com.
Finally, at 5, for all the other amazing high-tech gear and highly trained caring staff in modern neonatal ICU units, it is the human touch that often makes the difference. And that's where 73-year-old Dave Whitlow comes in. He is a volunteer cuddler. Twice a week, the 73-year-old walks in and gloves up and then just sits down and cuddles the NICU's youngest patients, telling WTVR.
Typical day, I'll probably hold 5 or 6 children. How are you doing today? I watch the monitors first to see whether positionally there's anything to do to improve, but he looks pretty good. His SATs are at 100%. That's what we're looking for.
He says, and the staff agrees, that human interaction is important in nursing the NICU's tender patients back to health.
Best gig I've ever had. The support and spiritual needs of the family and the staff. And so it all kind of gets tied together here.
As he places each baby back in their bed, he whispers the same thing each time: grow strong, grow smart, and grow kind. And that's the world that we live in for Tuesday, the 21st of July. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is Family Life News.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.